Welcome, KSLU students, to this explainer. Settle down, please, and pay absolute attention. Today, we aren't just casually discussing legal theory. No, we are dissecting the exact, precise 16-mark exam blueprint for question 13 on your labor law paper, Discuss Amalgamation, Dissolution, and Penalties for Offenses by Trade Unions. When you encounter this on your exam paper, absolute structural precision is required. Evaluators do not have the time to hunt for your points, right? You must serve them up on a silver platter.
Let's look at the agenda. 1. Introduction. 2. Part 1. Amalgamation. 3. Part 2. Dissolution. 4. Part 3. Penalties. 5. Case laws. And 6. Importance and conclusion. This exact synopsis is mandatory to write at the top of your answer booklet. It tells the examiner immediately that you've got the whole anatomy of the answer locked down.
First up, Section 1, Introduction. Make sure you deliberately center this heading right on your page. Let's get right into it.
Here is exactly what you need to write. Quote, "Trade unions are governed by the Trade Unions Act 1926, which provides provisions relating to their formation, functioning, amalgamation, dissolution, and penalties to ensure accountability and proper administration." End quote. Okay, grab your pens. You absolutely must underline Trade Unions Act 1926 and the word accountability on your exam sheets. The evaluator is actively scanning for that statutory citation. Without it, well, a union is just a random mob, right? The Act is what gives it legal discipline. If you skip the 1926 Act in your very first sentence, you've literally already lost the examiner's confidence.
Moving on, we have Part 1, Amalgamation of Trade Unions. Put this in block capitals and underline it, okay? Clear signposting is exactly how you conquer a 16-mark question.
Let's read the exact definition. Amalgamation means merger of two or more trade unions into one union. Now, write this down verbatim, and I have to strictly remind you here, merger is the absolute key statutory term. Do not, under any circumstances, use informal synonyms like joining together or teaming up. You are law students writing for a professor of law. Stick to the exact legal phrasing.
Next, we lay out the procedure. Step 1 requires consent of members of each union. Step 2, voting must be conducted. At least 50% of members must vote. Step 3, out of those voting, 60% must approve amalgamation. So why these specific numbers? Well, it's pretty simple actually. It's to prevent a hostile takeover by a tiny vocal minority. So circle that 50 and 60 on your study sheets right now. If you mix up those percentages on the day, you completely fail the procedural aspect of this question.
Right after the procedure, you state the effects. 1. Creation of a new union or continuation of one. 2. Transfer of assets and liabilities. 3. Registration of new or merged union. My strict instruction to you is to list these as 3 distinct, clean bullet points. No unnecessary waffle, no massive paragraphs. Just clear, demarcated points.
All right, pay close attention as we hit our next major heading, Part 2, Dissolution of Trade Union. Again, make sure this is clearly spaced from the previous section. For the definition here, you'll write, dissolution means termination of existence of a trade union. Read that carefully, class. Termination of existence is the exact, legally accurate phrasing that KSLU evaluators demand. It's not just closing down or shutting the doors, right? It is the complete legal termination of its entity status. Write it out exactly like that.
Now, the procedure for dissolution. Procedure, as per rules of the union. Notice must be given to registrar of trade unions within prescribed time. Listen, explicitly mentioning the registrar is absolutely critical. The registrar is the ultimate statutory gatekeeper here. Omit the registrar and your procedural explanation is practically legally void. Marks will definitely be deducted.
Following that procedure is the disposal of funds. Funds distributed according to rules versus, if no rule, as decided by members. This is a strict conditional scenario. You know, if X, then Y. It's a great idea to draw a small arrow on your paper to visually demonstrate this if-then condition. Show the evaluator you truly understand the statutory logic.
Okay, shifting gears now to Part 3, Penalties for Offenses. I must warn you, students, this is exactly where so many lose precious marks. Why? Because they write one giant, messy paragraph. Don't do that.
Instead, number the offenses sequentially. Offenses. 1. Failure to submit returns. 2. False information. 3. Misuse of funds. 4. Non-compliance with provisions. 5. Liability of office bearers. Memorize these 5 specific anchors.
They are completely non-negotiable.
Under those headings, you provide very brief elaborations. 1. Failure to submit returns. Fine for not submitting annual returns or required documents. 2. False information. Providing false statements leads to a penalty or fine.
Continuing on. 3. Misuse of funds. Using union funds for unauthorized purposes. 4. Non-compliance with provisions. Violation of statutory provisions leads to penalties.
And finally, 5. Liability of office bearers. Office bearers responsible for compliance, personally liable for offenses. I want you to heavily underline personally liable on your script. This is the crucial moment where the law pierces the veil of the union and attaches right to the individual. Do not miss that vital legal distinction.
Next is Section 9, Case Laws. Listen to me very carefully on this one. Correctly citing precedents is literally what separates a brilliant first-class answer from a mediocre just-passing grade. Anyone can rote memorize statutes, but applying case law, that shows a true legal mind. Let's look at the cases.
Format your cases perfectly. First case, Registrar of Trade Unions v. Swamy. Clarified powers of registrar regarding administration and compliance. Second case, All India Bank Employees Association v. National Industrial Tribunal. Emphasized importance of regulated functioning of trade unions. My advice, draw a professional table on your sheet, just like you see in a textbook. Or, if time is tight, you must absolutely underline these case names clearly in bold black ink.
Now, before your conclusion, slot in Section 10, Importance, ensures discipline and transparency, prevents misuse of union structure, protects interests of members. Slipping this importance section in just before the end shows a comprehensive, holistic understanding. It proves to the evaluator that you know exactly why the law exists to protect members, not just what the law dictates.
Finally, we arrive at the conclusion. A strong, confident conclusion leaves a massive positive impression when the evaluator is sitting there with their red pen tallying up your final marks.
Read this and commit it to memory. The provisions relating to amalgamation, dissolution, and penalties ensure that trade unions function in an organized, transparent, and lawful manner, promoting industrial harmony and accountability. Memorize that exactly to cap off your flawless exam blueprint. But before I dismiss this explainer class, consider this one thought. If a union is dissolved tomorrow, does the ideology of its workers dissolve along with it, or does it simply wait to amalgamate under a brand new banner? Master the statutes, absolutely, but never forget the very human element they govern. Class dismissed.